So today we're looking at forming and solving simultaneous equations. So this is kind of the lead up, and this is what we've kind of been working towards using simultaneous equations. And you might think to yourself before, well, why would I ever need simultaneous equations? What am I using them for? But they have lots of different uses for real life situations. We're going to look at some of those today. In fact, let's write a little sentence of that just to get started. We can use simultaneous equations for lots of real life problems. First, we must set up our equations, then solve them like we would normally. Just to make that bigger for you so you can see it. We can use simultaneous equations for lots of real life problems. First, we must set up our equations and then solve them like we would normally. So get that down as a little starter. Alright, so let's have a little look at some questions then. So here's our first question then. So let's write this one down here as example 1. So example 1, Elliot buys 1 soda and 3 teas for £3.75. Elise buys 4 sodas and 2 teas for £5. Work out the cost of 1 soda and 1 tea. Now you might think to yourself, how would I do this? Where would I go with this? But it's just about setting up those first equations. As long as we know how to set up those first equations, this is just very similar to what we've been doing. Now it is a little bit tricky because we do have decimals on there, but if you think about it in terms of pounds, it's still quite easy. So let's start getting this down then. Let's have a go at this question. So the way that I would do this is, now remember, when I do 1 soda, you could put 1s if you wanted to, but we tend not to put that number in front of the s. So this one's here is going to be 1 soda, which I'm going to call s. So s plus 3t, so plus 3t is equal to £3.75. So is equal to £3.75, like so. S plus 3t is equal to £3.75. And then when I'm doing the second one, so this time it's going to be 4 sodas. So it's going to be 4 sodas plus 2 teas is equal to £5. So that's equal to 5. Now you could put the decimals if you want. And then you've done it. You've got your starting point. You've created your 2 simultaneous equations. So equation 1 and equation 2. And then what we're doing is we need to then just solve them like we would normally to try and find s and try and find t. So the first question we've have to ask ourselves, like normal, is which one of these equations do I need to multiply to either make s or t the same? Well, we could change both the t's, but I think actually it's easier to change the s to be 4s, because all we then need to do is times this top one by 4. Okay? Because if I times the top one by 4, I'm going to get 4s. So let's go through and then do that then. So s times by 4 is 4s, plus 3 times by 4, which is 12. Sorry, 3t times by 4, which is 12t, which is equal to £3.75 times by 4. So I'm going to do that on the calculator, just to make sure. £3.75 times by 4 is equal to £15 there. So that's equal to 15 there, like so. Now remember, we don't need to times the other one because these are staying the same. So we've already got 40. Now, the next question we need to ask ourselves, which we've already done, are the symbols on the letter that we have the same, or the coefficient of the letter that we have the same, or are they different? So I circle S here, and I'm thinking, is that symbol on S the same or is it different? Well, we can see that they're both positive 4S's. So if I want to eliminate my equations, I need to subtract them. Okay? So 4S take away 4S is equal to 0. 12t take away 2t is equal to 10t. So that means basically, if you think about what you're saying here, you're saying that 10 t's, so 10 actual t's is equal to £10. That's what we're saying here, okay? Because I've eliminated that the sodas. So then I do it like I normally would. So divide by 10. Divide by 10. So t is equal to 1, which is £1. And then the next little part is that we need to substitute t into our top equation to find out what the price of the soda is. So let's just write that. So sub t equals 1 into, we're going to sub it into equation 1. So we write down what equation 1 is. So 1 soda plus 3 t's is equal to £3.75. I know that t is equal to £1, so a soda plus 3 times by 1 is equal to £3.75. Then I solve it and find out what S is. So S is equal to, S plus 3 is equal to £3.75. So minus 3, we end up with S is equal to 0.75, which we know is 75p. So then we've worked out what the cost is. The cost of a soda is equal to 75p, so 0.75. And the cost of a tea is £1, there, like so. Now actually, I'll give you a second to get that down, but actually these questions tend to be a little easier as long as you know how to form them, because we don't have any negatives involved. We don't have any negative money, do we? Well, you could if you're thinking about debt and things, but in these questions it tends to be all positive values, which makes things a little bit easier. So I'll give you a second to get that down. So, we've done a go at 2 questions. Have a little go. So let's just check those answers. Yeah, there we go. Have a little go at this one yourself. Now this is pens and rubbers. It's exactly the same idea. So pause now and have a little go at this one yourself. Pause now and have a little go at this one yourself. So we're going to have a look at this one on the right. Let's have a little look at it. So the first thing we need to do is to set up our equation. So it's going to be 2 coffees plus 2 sodas is equal to £2.50. So 2.5. You can put £2.50 there. That should definitely be £2.50. And then I've got 1 coffee, which is C, plus 4 sodas is equal to £4.25. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either make the C's the same or make the sodas the same. Now, it doesn't matter which way around you do it. I'm going to purposely make the coffees the same because I know that there's actually a little bit of a problem if I do that. So I'm going to make the coffees the same. So to make the coffees the same, I need to times this second equation here. So this is equation 1. This is equation 2. I'm going to times this second equation by 2 because this does give us a little bit of a problem. We'll see what that is. So I need to keep the first equation the same, which is going to be 2C plus 2S is equal to 2.5. And then if I times this bottom one, I end up with 2C plus 8S is equal to 4.25 times by 2. 4.25 times by 2 is equal to £8.50. So, I'm just going to put 8.5 for now. Now, we can see that the C's are the same here. And they're both positive, which means I need to subtract my equations to eliminate them. Now, the problem I get there is you do end up with like a negative coefficient. Remember, the coefficient means number in front of the S. You do end up with a negative coefficient for the sodas, but you also end up with a negative money. Now, don't worry too much about that. When you divide a negative by a negative, it makes it positive. Now, the better way to do this would potentially to have the bigger amount on top and have the £8.50 on top. However, you can do it without doing that, okay? So 2C minus 2C is 0. 2S minus 8S is equal to negative 6S. Now, don't worry too much about that for now. And 2.5 minus 8.5, well, let's do that on the calculator just to check. 2.5 minus 8.5 is equal to negative 6. So negative 6 there. Then what I need to do is I need to divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. So S is equal to negative 6 divided by negative 6, which is, well, negative divided by negative is positive. 6 divided by 6 is 1. I've not finished there because you need to also find out the price of the coffee. So with this one here, I'd probably sub into equation 2 just because you've got a single C there. So I'm just going to make a note of that. Sub S equals 1 into equation 2. Now the reason I'm subbing that into equation 1 is because the coefficient of C, the number in front of C is 1. It just makes it a little bit easier for us. So equation 2 is this. C plus 4S is equal to 4.25. So I know that S is equal to 1. So C plus 4 times 1 is equal to 4.25. So this is equal to C plus 4 is equal to 4.25. So minus the 4, C is equal to 0.25. So we know the price of a soda is £1 and the price of a coffee is 0.25 pence, or 25 pence, 0.25 pounds. Let's just check those. Brilliant. There we go. Alright, so if you're catching up with this at home, here's some questions for you to have a little go at. So pause and have a go at those if you're catching up at home. And if you're catching up with at home, there's your answers to those.